Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, as you can see, I'm in a new environment, a new setup. You won't believe where I am. Well, these many number of awards for one of India's finest single malt. Today, I'm at Paul John Distillery, also known as Paul John Visitor Center, to try out two of their newest expressions that they've released hardly about 2 months ago. And nothing gets more exciting than tasting whiskey from where it hails from. This particular distillery is located in Kollam, South of Goa, and what better way to end the week? As we know, Paul John has an array of expressions in their portfolio, right? Right from the Nirvana all the way up until Jim Murray's third best rated single malt in the world, which is the Mithuna, right? So I do also know and believe that Paul John has their wine cask finish expressions in their portfolio, and that's what I'm here to try today. They already have a PX, which is a Pedro Jimenez and an Oloroso in their Select Cask series, and today I'm here to try the Paul John Madeira and one more in the Portuguese wine finish, which is the Paul John Port. Super excited to try these new babies and wait till the end to see how and what I feel about Paul John Portuguese wine cask finish expressions. So I'm going to start with the Paul John Madeira. So I'm going to give it a nice pour and see what it is on the nose, on the palate, and what is it on the finish. Beautiful color there. And the whiskey seems pretty viscous. So we are now going to taste Paul John Madeira. It's got a beautiful mahogany sort of a color to it. As you can see, the colors on these clearly indicate the kind of impact the wine cask has on the whiskey when it gets transferred. So if I'm not wrong, this particular whiskey spends about 5 years in ex-bourbon cask and is then transferred to a Madeira or a port, which is the wine casks, right? So they do have quite a lot of time that, for a finish especially, particularly, they do spend quite a lot of time. Okay, on the nose, oh man, absolute stunner. Get a lot of dry fruits. I'm getting a lot of dry fruits. A bit of that sort of a cherry plum. There is quite a bit of citrus in here. As you can see, this is like amber. Mahogany is the color. There is obviously quite a lot of honey, and like I said in my previous video, you can say it's Paul John's IP that they're going to have a lot of honey, very honey forward, very vanilla forward, caramels a lot in here as well. Let's go for the palate, guys. Cheers. Holy moly. I have never had a whiskey, especially a Portuguese wine cask finished whiskey, that's as good as this. It is very salivating. The mouth wants a lot more. It's got a really rounded character. I wouldn't say it's too viscous, it's slightly in between, but there is a bit of spice. There is an element of spice that's coming in, and I believe this is at 46%. It's a 48% non-chill filtered in the Select Cask range, and it's got it's got tropical fruits. I'm getting a lot of that cocoa and dark chocolate on the finish, and as you can see, the lines are holding pretty intact, so it's got pretty good alcohol strength and sugars in it, right? So, like I was saying, the Pedro Jimenez and the Oloroso are Spanish wine cask finished whiskies in the Paul John portfolio, and the Madeira and the Port have released about 2 months back. And from what I've spoken with a lot of people, the feedback on this particular bottle has been absolutely fantastic, right? They never go wrong with the way they make their whiskey. And rather than me speaking, when you try it, it'll do all the talking that's required. It's that, it sort of leaves an impact. It has that sort of a punch to it, and it's very sort of vibrant, I say. And of course, the master distiller, Mr. Michael D'Souza, once again has hit the ball out of this park with the Madeira for now. Let's take another sip to understand a lot more depth of this whiskey. It just smells so beautiful, right? I would say a touch of salted caramel. That's what possibly is creating this sort of a salivating feel. But barring that, I feel, yeah, there's a bit of spice as well, like I mentioned before. But barring that, it's an absolute treasure. If you guys are into wine cask finished whiskies, this is the Paul John Madeira, and it is just fabulous, guys. The color, just take a look at the color, right? I mean, it's just so, got a really nice mahogany finish to it. Now we are moving on to Paul John Port. Right, so here we have the other release that Paul John has done about a good 2 months back, along with the Madeira. Yet again, a Portuguese wine cask, finish. Now the port is also at 48%. It is, a non-chill filtered whiskey. I'm gonna go in to check how this is gonna be. A port obviously has a unique story to itself. Like, for example, what I mean to say is this particular whiskey is aged in Calita Tawny and vintage port casks that hail from a particular region called the Douro Valley in Portugal. So, if I'm not wrong, the Paul John Christmas edition 2023 had quite a lot of influence when it came to Calita Tawny port cask, right? So again, we talk of the fact that this whiskey also spent its first 5 years in ex-bourbon cask and was then transferred onto the port casks. So I'm really curious for this one because I have tried quite a few port cask finished whiskies in the past, and this is my first time trying the Paul John port. So let's see what it is on the nose, on the palate, and what it tastes like, which is the most important thing, right? So on the nose, I'm getting a lot of cocoa. It is quite definitely nutty. I'm getting that right on the nose. It is spice. It has got a bit of spice, that sort of a sensation that prickles your nose, that kind of spice. And quite honestly, quite a lot of dark chocolate. Okay, so it's been very vibrant on the nose. I have no complaints. It's just a really well balanced Portuguese wine cask finished whiskey, right? I'm going for the palate now. Cheers. Okay. Well, again, not too viscous. It's a pretty linear, pretty thin sort of a mouthfeel that I get, but it's very rounded. There's a lot of citrus notes. It's got a lot of nutty element and feel to it. And of course, there is the element of spice that I was able to smell on the nose, right? That is getting translated here as well. But it's not as pronounced, if you ask me, as the Madeira. I feel the port has been a lot more elegant, a lot more subtle, not like the Madeira isn't. But these are two different wines that we're speaking about at the end of the day, right? So quite obviously, they're going to have their own characteristics, and it's just been an absolute, pleasure to be able to have tasted Paul John's newest release, which is the Madeira and Port, right? Let's give it another sip. That's a classic. Trust me, guys. I feel on a personal level, of course, both of these are really good, but I feel on a personal level, I strongly would suggest both. If you're looking for that unique experience of, tasting a wine cask finish edition single malt, these or even the Pedro Jimenez and the Oloroso are fabulous whiskies to try, each with unique character, unique, mouthfeel, unique level of, the smell, the aromas, everything is so good. And that's what really makes Paul John the great Indian single malt. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so happy to be here as always. Please do give me a subscribe for more such tasting and more such amazing content that I hope to make for you all. This is me, Aditya, WSET Level 2 Somalian Spirits, signing off from Paul John Visitor Center, where the great Indian single malt is born. Cheers.